To render the shot, you will bring the exported USD files into the Solaris stage, then add a backdrop. Solaris is the context of Houdini that uses LOP nodes to set up the USD Scene Graph. Next, you will add position a camera and then an environment light. The camera render will then be invoked in the viewport to create a preview render of the shot. So let's start this by changing our desktop to the Solaris desktop. And when you do that, what it does is it comes to a different place called the stage. And we're going to press D in here, change the background, and we're going to go, let's go all dark black on that. We'll turn off this grid, we don't need that. Now in this network view, we're going to go tab sub layer. We're going to put down a sublayer node. Now this is designed to grab an existing USD file. So we're going to go into our USD and we're going to go Wineglass accept. And if we zoom out, there's our Wineglass, and if we go forward in time, we see that it's the smashing one that we saved out. Now because we used this sublayer, when we saved the file out, we gave it the name Wineglass, and we put it in a folder called Geo. So you'll see here there's a Geo Wineglass, that's the scene graph. So that was all organized before we got here. We just had to import it in and we're ready to go. Okay, so now we're going to put a grid down, and we can put that here, and we're going to call that backdrop. And to work with that, we're going to go inside it, and we're going to make some changes. And actually, before we do, let's make sure the backdrop goes into there as well. So we're going to go /geo/ so it's going to be in the same directory. That's not 100% necessary. It's just more of an organizational tool to have all the geometry in the same place. Double click to go down here. So we take this grid node. Let's just take the grid node here. And we're going to change its size to 200 by 200 and the rows and columns to 20, 20. Okay? And if we go, okay, so once we have that, what we want to do is we want to right click on here and add a bend node. Set the display flag on that. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down and we're going to do a bend angle of 75. Okay. And then we go down to the capture origin and so on. And we're going to set an origin of 0, 0, minus 40. A direction of 0, 0, and -1. And now you see we're getting a nice bend there. And we can take the capture length and increase that to 20 to make it a little bit more smooth. Now once we have that, we're going to right click on here, go subdivide, put down a subdivide node here and set that to 2 just to add some more detail. Now there's other ways to do that, but for now we're going to add some detail here. So now let's go back to the stage, and now we've got the Wineglass sitting there. So let's select, we can use the select tool, select the Wineglass. We go, oh, we got the two things right now. We just want the Wineglass. We go spacebar G will get us close to that, and we can see that. And we can start to get an angle that we like. And we need to think about it in terms of the smashing, so maybe a little bit more like that. And we'll tweak this, but essentially, there we go. So we've got that in our view. Once we've got that, we can click on the camera tool here. This adds a camera node into the network here. And then from there, we can refine things. So we can move in a little closer. We can move over a little bit. Just test to see that this is doing what we want. Okay. And if we want to sync it, we can sync it with the view. Maybe rotate a little bit this way. There we go. And then be sure to unlock that so the camera doesn't get accidentally changed later on. But essentially we've got it coming in, smashing, that's looking good. And there we go. Now let's go into here and click on the environment light node. And that's going to go in and add this dome light. And then we can go to the texture field here, and here we can go HFS, and we're going to bring in the Skylit Garage, and that will start to light our scene accordingly. Now, to see it actually rendered, we can bring up the Karma XPU renderer right here. I'm going to think for a second, and there we go. Now we're seeing the handle. We don't want to see the handle, and we don't want to see the cracks, so there we go. And there's a little bit of the environment light in there. We can click on this to hide that if we want. Now, if we want to see a slightly cleaner image, we can, if you have a NVIDIA card, you can turn on the denoiser here, and that will just clean up a little bit of the noise and resolve things a little faster. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go Tab, Material, Linker. We're going to add this right now to the end of the chain here. Now, a material linker will allow us to take some existing material. So we can go into here, for instance, and if we go to glass, drag that over to here. Then we can take that, and if we click on the rules button, we can take the glass and assign it to the wine glass. So we're going to put that there. And now, there we go. We've got the glass. And if we go forward in time, there we go. You'll see it smashing. Now, one of the things is that when we're at frame 1, we see the wine glass with the cracks. And I think what we would like to do is have it not cracked at the beginning. Now, we could have arranged that when we did our simulation, but we're actually going to do it here in Lobs. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go, let's go back to the object level. Okay. And we're going to go into this wine glass fracture. And we're going to go Tab, USD File, Export. Okay. And we're going to take the original wine glass from here that doesn't have anything, and we are going to work with that. So we're going to name this as wine glass static. Okay. And this we're going to go just like we did before, geo/. But instead of doing $OS, we're actually going to call it wine glass. So it has the same path as the cracked one. And you'll see that that's important later. Now on the export, we want to make sure that we're only doing the current frame. And we're going to change this to USD/wine glass static. Okay. Now let's go back to what we did over here. We named it wine glass so that it can exist in the same space as the other wine glass rather than them being two separate objects. And you'll see what we do to make that work. Okay. Now once we have that, we're going to go to the export and go save to disk. So if we go to here and click back to the stage where we have this rendered, we're going to go up to here and we're going to take this sublayer here. Now this backdrop, it's a little bit of a problem there. So we're going to go in and we're going to put a merge node down here. And we're going to feed the backdrop into there and break the connection there. Okay. We're then going to alt drag this over to here. And this one, we're going to go and pick up the static version of this. And then we're going to go and put a switch node down so that we can switch from this one to, and let's just break the sublayer there, to this one. So you see by default, and we can switch those two, just make that look nicer. So right now we're looking at this one, which is the, this is the static, and this is the fractured version of that. But no matter what happens, it is called wine glass in here. So whether we switch this from 0 to 1, there's the crack one, it still stays as geo wine glass. So that's important there. And what we can do in here is we can actually put an expression in here. We're going to go $F is greater than 4, and $F is less than 46. Okay. Now with that in mind, so now if I have the display, if I go to 3, it's still there. If I go to 4, it's still there. As soon as I go to 5, it cracks. And that's when our explosion begins. Similarly, we get to 46 over here, and it goes from cracked here to not cracked here. So we've been able to clean this up so that the cracks are not showing when we don't need them. Now, we're just going to press D in here and render, and we can scroll down, and we're just going to set the refraction limit up a little bit, just because there's going to be lots of pieces of glass and everything in there, and we want to make sure as these overlapping pieces are overlapping each other that we're getting good refractions through them. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another sublayer in. And this will be the wine. And we're going to go get the wine. And you can see, because we have that selected, we see it in here, and that is reflecting what we need. And we can take that and add that into the merge here. And now we've got our liquid in there, which is perfect. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a material for the liquid. So instead of using, we're going to use a quick surface material. And we're going to put that over here. And we're going to set some things on this. So we're going to go to specular, and we're going to set specular to 0.2 and the index of refraction to 1.3443, which apparently is the index of refraction for wine. Then we're going to scroll down to the transmission section, and we're going to set our transmission to 1, and we're going to set the color to something like this, but maybe a little darker. There we go. And that's our red wine. Now, for that to be available for the material linker, we're just going to have to merge that back in. So we'll just call that matte merge. And we're going to feed that into here. So now we go to the material linker, and what we have here is we've got the quick surface material, and actually let's change that to wine matte. And then we can take the wine matte over, and we can take the wine and drag it over and assign it. And there we go. So now we have our wine with its proper materials as well as the glass itself. Now, we want to let's do another material here. Let's do, let's go up, see, leather, metal. So we're going to get metal copper. We're going to bring it over here. We're going to go to the rules. We're going to set that as one of our items, and we're going to take the, we don't have the bullet in here yet. So what we need is another sublayer node. And we're going to put that over there. We're going to wire this into here. We're going to go and get the bullet. Okay, so that brings that in, which you can't really see here, but it will be in the scene at certain points. And we'll just call that the bullet. So now when we go down to the material linker here, and we take the metal copper, we can now take the bullet and assign it the metal copper. Which again, we're not seeing in the view because it's so small, but it's good to make sure all the details are covered. Okay, so now we want to render to disk to see what our animation looks like as a final rendered piece. So we're going to go Tab, Karma, Setup. Don't worry about that. We're going to plug that in here and set the display flag here. Now when you do that, it actually changes some of the settings. So for instance, we're now using CPU instead of XBU. We want to change that back to XBU. And then we wanted that refraction limit to be 10, I think was what we had before. So we need to bring that back. We also need to, on image output filters, if we want the denoiser, we need to say we want the denoiser as part of the rendering. So those are all things that we need to set up to get the look that we want. Once we have that, we can change this to, let's go glass $F2 will give us what we need from an output picture point of view. So that's what's going to be saved on disk. We're using camera 1. Now we can go to here and say give us the specific frame range. And there we go. That's once we've got the frame range set up, we can click render to disk. Okay, so that's going to take a little while to go off and render. When it's finished, we'll come back and view the results. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, now that the rendering's finished, let's take a look at it. We can go to Render mplay, Load Disk Files. Okay, so in this interface we go Render, Wineglass, Load. And here's the rendering, and let's take a look. There we go. So we've got the wine glass smashing, we've got the liquid simulating, and all of it retimed using the bullet time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and be sure to check out some of the other foundation lessons that take you into other parts of Houdini. Have a good day.